on to their very, very strong map, I would say, considering they picked it against BDS.
Well, it ain't over yet. BDS are looking like perhaps the tournament favorites, or maybe not. That was before they were met with Brazil. And they're going to have to pull out everything they have and throw out the kitchen sink along with it to try and take FURIA down in a reverse sweep 2-1. It starts here with FURIA's map pick of Clubhouse.
Well, there goes the Thatcher off the board. And the reason that's important, well, last map, we had it in play. Double hard bridge span comes out. And this is the kind of map where you sometimes expect a double hard bridge ban, but that won't be the case. FURIA will get rid of Echo. Goodbye, Rafale. You're not going to be able to play that one. As we get into the very, very last ban here, does BDS do a target ban? Or do they do a Valkyrie ban, for example? Get rid of that intel that's been so crucial for FURIA. I would say that would be the best one. But they decide Kaid will be way too powerful. And they get that off the board. I don't know. I think that Valkyrie and how well FURIA were using it. I know BDS uses it as well. But it just gave them so much intel on their defense. Really was the kryptonite for BDS, as they will get to start on their defensive side here on Clubhouse, unlike map number 1. So maybe we see a BDS favored first half here, unlike we did on Oregon.
Yeah, while the sides might indicate that, honestly, the thing that is so scary for me is the fact that when we came out from that match, we saw the victory shots of FURIA, they were looking hyped, and then we saw BDS, and holy crap. Lems did not look happy. Holy crap. He looked very, very upset. And look, I don't really speak a word of French, but I'm sure that what he was saying would not be allowed to show on the stream. I'm sure that BDS had a lot to talk about. And look, they don't have much time to talk about it. They've got to get out of this fit that they've been in. They've got to keep the ball rolling here. Their Six Invitational campaign has looked so damn good. I mean, throughout the group stage, they were almost flawless. The only map they lost was Empire, and that was just by one round in an 8-7 overtime. Coming into the upper bracket as the second seed team, they lost to NIP in a 3-mapper. Surely they don't go out here to FURIA in a 2-mapper.
5 seconds.
You're starting to paint a very scary picture for the EU fans out there, but if you're wondering what FURIA might be putting on the board here, they're going to bring a double hard breach of their own. They'll bring the Maverick, they'll bring the Therma, and this is why that Valkyrie ban was not employed, because Rafale wants it. But you know what he gets instead? He gets a little chunk of damage really early on. He's trying to get that early bit of aggression, and that Valkyrie cam out, and he gets punished for it. And FURIA are carrying over a lot of momentum from map number 1. They might have thought that they weren't going to win that, considering it wasn't their map pick. And now they'll have an extra bit of motivation as they do a top floor clear here. They'll even use an entire exothermic on the wall. And there is a mute jammer there as well, so Miracle's going to have to get rid of that one. And this is what you see Oxygen do quite a lot, actually, is just quickly pop the Maverick, get rid of the mute jammer or any wall denial, and then get these walls opened up nice and early as the Lems will dance around all these open walls and hatches.
Lems is a keen bean here on this roam, but he does start to pull back. Early engagement though in storage. And Lender ends up worse for wear, but he does a lot of damage on the Shaiko. That C4, an airball. And that does leave us in a strong position still for BDS, but FURIA are really starting to encroach upon their map control.
They're stalling a heck of a lot of time here. Look at all those blue outlines as well. They've all partnered and buddied up over towards the red stairs and CCTV. Alem says it's time to cap on out of it, but Bride on the mute with the SMG-11 says, I want a little bit more. Finally gets on out of there, and they'd also committed multiple Syria gates. Finally, Shaiko able to get the revenge. Fragger v Fragger, and after what Fantasy did last map, it was huge. But Lender, he was very low HP, not a surprise that Alems was able to pistol him on down. And I thought that they would just be able to waste half the round there, James, but they got 2 whole kills. And all of a sudden, this is looking like a BDS round to kick things off.
Yeah, big win for BDS on that run. Now we'll see if they can convert. 2 players lit, but honestly, the grand scheme of things, not such a big deal. Low util still set on site. Plus, as time drags on, Renshiro will continue to generate these goo mines. 40 seconds left now.
FURIA Gate's still on that moto as well, and there's one over towards Armory. He wants to sneak it so it explodes before it hits, but no one's there to collect it. When you're down to 25 seconds, Banshee, FURIA Gates, reinforcements galore. How do you get on into sight? Surely Miracle, or rather, FURIA don't make this happen. It's going to take a Miracle, rather. And now they're down to 15 seconds. BDS doesn't have to do much except hold angles. Angles now hold. Head ripped off of the shoulders of Highs. As we're down to 5 seconds, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, FURIA left it too late, and they won't even barely take a foot into sight. As Rare will grab one, but that's just stat padding at that point. No hope for them in that round. And that early roam, that Brede really wanted to commit to it. You could see him staying up there, even though Alems had rotated down, but it was very, very fruitful from them on round number 1.
A great start here for BDS, for sure. Not only, like you said, did they find that roam, wasted a lot of time, but to get 2 kills untraded you can't ask for anything more on a roam like that here on this map. So it's also quite funny, the fact that there are 2 players on FURIA that didn't even die that round. They were quite scared. When you're in that 2 versus 5, 3 versus 5 situation, you're staring down a really, really solid site setup. It's just so hard to push on through. Yeah, I don't blame you that you're not just running headlong into death, but that is a bit of a stark contrast to what we saw on FURIA on Oregon, right? These guys were just fearless. Everything they did without hesitation. Every fight they took with complete conviction and confidence. And we're going to need to see that from them. I think that the fact that FURIA started on defense on the first map just made them feel more comfy. And now that they're starting on attack on this map, I think attack on Oregon looked better than attack on Clubhouse. And I don't think it's necessarily a strategic thing. I just think it's a comfort thing. I mean, it's a bit of the mental, right? FURIA went up with such an advantage on their defense on Oregon that by the time they got to the attack, they're like, boys, we can do anything.
Well, speaking about doing anything, I have to throw this out there to the audience who's not really aware. I mean, if you've been watching EUL or NAL, etc., this was one of the lowest defender-sided sites in all of the map, outside of Bar, of course, which was unfortunately not played to Hap's displeasure. But if you're looking over how Clubhouse was looking coming into the Six Invitational, this was one of the worst sites to go to statistically on defense. You're coming into the Six Invitational, and well, it's walking away with one of the highest win rates outside of Master and Jam. Nice little grenade onto the Go-Go shield there. Renshiro will lose that one on early. And he'll have a C4 still to play with should he want to play down below later on in the round. So he needs to try and keep his life for as long as possible. But as I was alluding to, this has taken a flip on its head, this site. And I'm glad to see it as well because it used to be such a popular site to go to.
Well, definitely puts the onus on FURIA now, right? Like, if this is an attacker-sided side and they're on attack, they need to get back into the game right here. I like the setup we had from BDS, that shield in Lounge. Not super common, but also not unheard of. There are some teams that used to swear by it, like Giants, for example. I'm not sure whether BDS would fit to that in recent times. Haven't watched enough of their EUL. But FURIA are making short work of it nonetheless. We see an exothermic dispatched on the garage wall. This does overall indicate that FURIA are going to go for a garage take.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you get that platform wall open, and when you open up the left-hand side of the platform, it screams that you want to do a B bomb chassis default plant. Alems is running over to strip. He wants the run out. Will he get gifted? Oh, surely he will. There's a player dancing on the other side of the white band, but no one in direct line of sight. And Rare will get away with his life as a result. No!
It is.
It's Miracle instead to collect that headshot. And as Renshiro goes down on the red stairs, surely he gets picked up a fantasy. He says, good night, Renshiro, sleep tight. And now there's a player dancing for their life on the top of the rafters. Good read of that flash. And he'll collect Lender. And this was the kind of misplay that we were seeing from FURIA before is now getting repeated in this round.
That Rafters position, so difficult to flush out. When Miracle's your first victim and he's the guy with nades remaining, yeah, you're not going to win this. Rafal low HP, but he doesn't have to peek. But he does anyway, and somehow he does a bit of damage. Okay, Rare finds the kill, but traded. Winnable for FURIA, but very difficult, but winnable for FURIA. 2 versus 2 now. And Brede finds that headshot. Fantasy goes down, and Brede finds the second. BDS are back, baby.
Oh, the back line of Brede held strong. SMG-11 in hand. Only need 1 magazine for that one. But that shot from Fancy, I mean, honestly, he has done incredible things, especially when I'm looking over towards the Yana. He's just been a really good player there. Lacking the grenades over to Garage, however. I'm wondering what was going on there. Okay, one was used towards the Go-Go Shield and Lounge, but there's still many others to pick from. And this was the disjointedness I kind of felt I saw from BDS on map 1, a lack of coordination, because I'd actually praised them on another Oregon game throughout the group stages for their incredible coordination and team play on their defense. Didn't really see it in the last map from BDS, and now it's kind of like that curse has drifted over to FURIA, and we're not seeing the coordination and the aggressiveness that we saw from them last map. A little bit maybe, I don't want to say it's the map's fault in any way, shape or form, but somehow between Oregon and now, there just feels like a tiny difference for FURIA, even though this is their map pick.
I think that round also, to continue your point, goes to show why the one side playing well and doing something a bit unpredictable or aggressive can actually create forced errors on FURIA's behalf. So, like, for example, a really nice run out from a Lens, took down Miracle. You talked about where those grenades were. Like, early on, right, FURIA's like, okay, we have tons of grenades, we have tons of explosives. It's no worries that Fantasy uses one of his 2 nades on the Vulcan shield in Lounge. But then, of course, when Miracle gets run out on, and I believe he still had 2 nades in the pocket at the time, suddenly, that it's not so good. Like, FURIA lose both of those nades when Miracle dies to that run out. So credit to BDS for keeping that aggression up. And I was astonished that it even became a 2v2 after that, honestly. But credit to BDS for closing it out at the end. We're on to Jim now. And it's starting to become a bit of a spree for the French.
Well, as you said, we are on to Master and Jim, and the reason that I want to watch this side very, very carefully as throughout all of the groups in the playoffs so far, this has the highest defensive win rate of any site on Clubhouse. All the way up to 60% win rate there for most of the defenders. Only a mute jammer to be able to cancel this one out. And considering that's just been banned, I'm surprised we're not seeing a bit of a bandit trick, or at least an attempt. We've seen BDS do this in the EUL regular league, but they are not committing to it here. Only the mute jammers. And I was looking over to both Brede and Rafale, and I believe it's both the double shotgun and double SMG-11. And the last team, rather the team that I most recently watched rip that apart, or rip teams apart with it, has been Team 1. Lambs. He tries a little bit of a cheeky peek over towards Dirt onto the platform, and he'll get punished exponentially for it. But hey, he's wasted, I don't know, let's say 15 seconds. Everything counts.
Yeah, and the fact that he gets away with his life is always nice. Fuck hasn't died so far this game. FURIA looking to correct that. A lot of time left on the clock, but is this an early... Actually, it is an early execute, I believe, as Rare's snaking his way in through Jacuzzi, perhaps tempted. FURIA not entirely certain as of yet. Alem's downstairs, has a C4. Of course, this does end up being a danger late round, so Lender might be able to get the better of him. Hears it and takes off his head clean. Perfect for FURIA. Now they have a position where this execute's getting more viable.
They're going to decide to open up the bathroom as well. Some teams will keep it closed so they can sneak on in and not have to worry about too many flanks behind them. Some really good shots coming through, and not many of the shots from BDS hitting their targets. I think Miracle's the only one who's taken a slight bit of damage as they make their way on into bathroom. A smoke will pop out as well. Ah, hello? You've forgotten about Shaiko on the rotating with 30 seconds left. He'll pop down, but he'll lose his life. And now it's up to Renshiro and Brede. 3 smoke babes in hand, and of course Brede clutched the last round, or rather not clutched, he got the double headshot. Too easy for him with the SMG-11, but James, I tell you what, they've stalled out now, and now they need to bring the Fury.
4v2's very winnable. Execute begins. Where is the plant denial? Non-existent. Brede tries to make a play, but Lender makes his day, and there's the double for FURIA as they find their first attack.
Where were the smoke babes there? What happened? Possibly I missed it, but he still had 3 in pocket during that late round, during that execute. And we know that smokes clip through walls, whether they're soft, whether they're reinforced. He would have been able to cut that over. So interestingly enough, maybe he couldn't get the angle to be able to toss it over. But that is the problem here, is that Lender dealt with the initial plant denial, which was the C4 below. And now FURIA are finally entering the match here. First round on their attack. But it's okay. I do still think it is rather okay that they're only just getting that map round now. Because, where is it? Where we got Clubhouse here. I mean, it's in line defensive-sidedly. Wow, that's a mouthful there, James. Nevertheless, 57% defensive win rate on Clubhouse. That exactly mirrors the defensive-sidedness throughout SI for Oregon as well.
Oh, we saw how that panned out. Of course, it was FURIA who found 4 defense rounds on that map and 3 attack rounds to close it out. But BDS, look, I'm not sweating yet if I'm them.
Yep.
If anything, I think that BDS really just need to start to build some confidence back because of that first map. That was a real slap in the face, a real struggle for them. And this is the point where they need to start having some confidence. Of course, 2 rounds in the bag is nice. But as this half goes on, I expect FURIA to get more and more consistent with these attacks.
You would definitely expect so. Fancy is going to go onto the Ash instead this time. And that operator's been thrown around a couple of the different players throughout the past 2 maps. And not a surprise, they want to bring that soft breach as well. That's why Lender's been bringing the buck. Been fragging out more than he's necessarily been using the skeleton key, but he also got a skeleton key kill, so he's able to use every part of that arsenal that he has to play with here. And some toe shots on a rare. That'll take half of his life off the board. But he'll still be able to get that exothermic off. And we saw this last time as well. This is no different from the same way that BDS roamed when they had this bottom floor, and how FURIA took it as well. And if you remember, rightfully so, I believe they got 2 for free and they were able to even get back to site.
They certainly were. Does make you a bit concerned for FURIA, but of course they'll take this a little bit more cautiously and predict some of this aggression from BDS. And actually BDS have peeled back quite significantly here.
They mustn't think they can repeat what they did in the previous rounds where they played this and they roamed so expertly. They mustn't think that lightning will strike twice. Fair enough. Happy to play it safe instead. And as half of the round has already elapsed, I don't think I've seen a single hatch get opened up. Where's the buck ripping apart the floor? They're so worried about this roam, and they should be. Shaiko, he's actually close to sight. He's able to take out Miracle. That is the Maverick off the board, but don't worry. Kaid has been banned, so he won't have to necessarily deal with any hatches. They've still got an exothermic to play with, but let's remember he's only got 2, so what's he going to be able to open up here? Is that a soft dirt? That was going to be my question. Was it dirt and kitchen? But don't worry, it's soft and free for the taking.
It's the thing when you invest utility off-site, those reinforcements, only got 10 of them. Oh, that's a C4. Hello, goodbye, Lender. After a big 3K last round, he'll sit out for the rest of this one. And those black eyes, you mentioned that perhaps BDS should have considered banning it, but they will take full advantage of her presence. And now we are in a similar position to what we saw last FURIA attack onto this bomb site. 3v5 and not much time left.
Bit of deja vu here for this exact site. You pointed it out rightfully. FURIA are wanting to change that. They do okay under pressure, and it's not that you can see them stagnating by any means. They're trying to use whatever momentum they have. My God, how many concussions can come raining on through? As many as that. And as they swing, they'll get the freebie. Surely it's a flawless. And yes, it is a double headshot for Alems. Renshiro will cap it off. And whilst they might have looked worse for wear on Oregon, it's looking like both of these teams have each other's numbers when they come to each other's map picks.
Big round there from Alems. That double kill. The Roni does not have a lot of ammo in its magazine. So to find both of those kills, quite the task there. BDS starting to really extend their lead here. But Jess, of course, it's not all done on this half. 3 rounds is not enough to call a success, in my opinion. I really think BDS need to be gunning for the 4 minimum. Should BDS take 5, and I'm pretty confident we'll be seeing map number 3. That said, BDS struggled with their attacks on Oregon, and we might actually see the same thing here. So really, BDS should be gunning for 5 here. 4 should be okay, but honestly, like, BDS don't have a lot of leeway to give here. They're already a map down in the series, and they are the favored team here. There's so much pressure on their shoulders.
Pressure or not, BDS, after that stern talking from Alems, has been able to shift gear, be able to bring it back against FURIA for now. And we are going to preface this, give you a little asterisk at the end, a little disclaimer, just to say that the first half doesn't always mean the end to a team's run. FURIA taking BDS's map pick is no short order. And now we will see the CCTV side, as I said before, one of the higher rated sites defensively on this map throughout SI, which is very unusual considering the usual statistics. But the meta has changed in the last 6 months with the nerf to both Wamai and Jaeger, and as a result now the attackers have a little bit more freedom to work with, but that doesn't seem to have changed this site for the better. In fact, it's changed it for the worse.
Well, that said, right, like, we still see these garage attacks being really, really inconsistent. Well, if Shaiko can be taken out really early by Fantasy, that's great. But still, I am concerned if FURIA go for that garage attack like they did last time. I'm concerned with their chances of clearing rafters. Now, they have brought Viana back, which means they have some more nades, and it's unlikely Miracle will get picked off like he did last time. But I think overall, it's just too inconsistent trying to nade that player's rafters. FURIA really, since they've got this opening and so much control over Master, they should just go for a construction take.
I very much agree with that analysis, James. That's perfect there. You could see Lender, he's desperately trying to see if there's a mute jammer on that wall because they need that line of sight, and that's why Rare's over there. I did criticize them for only really having that thermite to work with, especially when Miracle's gone down round after round after round. He is alive for the mid-round at the moment, and he'll be obviously able to help with the platform wall. And you called this. Construction push would be the play. They struggled with Garage. And now that they have some of this construction control and over a minute left to play with, there's a lot more they can do. Is that hatch opened up? Yes, it is. They need to be careful of the player below. They dance around for an early pick. They managed to get a drone deep into that cache site, as the Lems will rotate all the way down. I think BDS is still scared that there is going to be a push here, but there's so many good drones for FURIA existing in both sites.
And there's so much good util for FURIA as well. Fantasy making full usage of Yana's kit, clearing out that shield and the bulletproof camera. This is shaping up to be a very, very strong pre-execute position for FURIA.
So many soft walls that BDS has featured. I mean, this is why the bark free reign. Rare, he wants it. 40 seconds left. All right, get a smoke babe out. Bait him out. Impacts as well. Pokeballs, it doesn't matter what you've got. Throw them all at him because they want to bait it out. Does the Lems have a C4? Yes, he does. In a prime position. Tosses it on up. What a waste because the smoke babe went out as well. They're just playing time here and dodging all the util.
Then Miracle's coming for this flank as well to deny any vertical play. Renshiro's on for it. And there's the kill coming through. Rare forcing down that diffuser to the ground. And BDS still yet to find a pick. Could it be flawless? It is! And FURIA make a massive statement on the reply and take their second round on the attack.
Beautiful time usage there. You saw it was 40 seconds exactly they had to play with. Rare said, all right, throw at me whatever you've got because I have time to dance, and dance he did. And that's exactly why so many of those smokes rained out. The C4 from Alems, missed time, miscommunicated with Bride, the smoke on his team. They need better teamwork here because they would have been able to alternate all of their utility with the time left had they have played it out, but they got scared, they got worried. And as a result, FURIA, they played that to a T, and they played BDS a little bit like a fiddle there. A really good attacking round. And you did say that this had to end in a 4-2. I mean, one more chance.
Yeah, well, imagine a 3-3 here. I would not have much hope for BDS. I mean, I was talking as either a 4-2 BDS or a 5-1 BDS, both of which wouldn't be guaranteed wins. And here a 3-3 would be massive for FURIA, who just have taken their tactical timeout. So I wonder, is this a bit of a mind game? Like, obviously, Twister's having a bit of a chat, which is always nice. Very commonly, teams take their tacks on losses, on the back of losses, on the back of deficits, trying to break their opposing team's momentum. But of course, FURIA, in taking their tactical timeout, inadvertently give BDS a tactical timeout of their own. My question is that actually a good thing? Maybe the fact that you kind of just let BDS stew in their misery, like, obviously, they're still in the lead. But BDS have not been themselves. You mentioned the miscommunication with that gas and C4. That was not great. We've seen a lot of not great from BDS today. And perhaps giving them a minute to argue about it is actually a good thing for FURIA.
Oh, I'm going to reference one of the great coaches back in the Team Secret day of the old Team Secret, Helby. He used to take tactical timeouts the moment he saw the other team arguing because he wanted them to argue more. He wanted them to get into each other's heads. He was playing the mental game. And of course, that's why some of these coaches will take certain timeouts even on a round win or especially on a round win. And it used to work really well against Latin American teams, and it looks like they've added that to their particular arsenal. And they'll clap it back towards Europe this time. I like it. I think that that's probably where the answer sits. Who knows? We might not know the full answer for it. And another repetition of this mirror on the soft wall from BDS next to a reinforcement. We've seen this one before. Be interesting to see where they put the second, as there's been a lot of these walls unreinforced from BDS. I don't know if this is on purpose. I don't know. Yeah, it gives them a sideline of sight and no rotate through as well. So we'll see whether that works out for them.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, you mentioned the lack of reinforcements, a lot of soft walls. There was a kind of phase in the meta that has kind of been phased out now of leaving the construction wall with one reinforcement and then one side soft and reinforcing the construction to logistic walls, really funneling people through that single door from master and through the window. You get a bit more aggressive angles onto that. And that's not exactly kind of a picture-perfect version of what BDS is doing. They're kind of doing something a little different, something a little bit untested. And I'm all for it. I like a little bit of new strategy, even when it's not super clear what the idea is behind it.
Of course, we don't know necessarily what the intention is behind it until we see it succeed. And of course, FURIA, their job is to try and avoid that success, that said success. That's why we might not necessarily see it. Oh, nice pick. Long angle opened up by Fantasy towards Strip. I mean, this man, he can play the hard breach, he can play the fragger. It doesn't matter what role you put him on, or operator. He seems to make it work. And as he is able to pad the stats, he'll also take out a LEMS. He'll take out the C4 as well. Really huge opening pick here for FURIA, which might propel them into better things for this round.
And isn't that just such a good read as well for FURIA? I feel like we've spectated a lot of LMs here. We've seen he just runs around the whole map, Oh, I'm going to run out strip. Oh, I'm going to run out dirt. I'm going to rotate downstairs. Like, he's just running around this map like a playground. And Fantasy says, look, mate, sorry, we're under construction at the minute. You're going to have to sit out in the naughty corner for the rest of this round. The Shaiko wants to make an aggressive play. That's a beautiful shot there from the Jaeger player, the Frenchman himself, that we know and love, and I like this from BDS. They need to bring this fire back.
A little bit of confidence can go a heck of a long way, and Shaiko, he's able to bring that out. That's now evening up the man count, but when you've got 60 seconds left, I mean, we saw what FURIA did last time. Bait out the C4s, bait out the smokes, bait out every single bit of utility they need. And how BDS haven't seen all of these drones. Heis is asking his teammate to ping out a player. He does. That's a freebie, but on the other side of the map, it's raining kills for BDS as well. Bride, he's going to have to hold fort over towards Bed and Miracle. He wants a Miracle nade, but Bride, he's able to dance the dance, but he needs to talk the talk as well, as it's up to Miracle and Fantasy to get in on site. There's those smoke babes that failed last time. Bride's hoping they will work out, and a crouch walk into sight. Rafale, he reads that like a book. It's all up to Miracle. 5 HP in a dream, and that is a little bit too much of a big breath of that smoke babe for Miracle. And that is a round in the hands of BDS. They won't repeat the same mistake this time. And yeah, we double tap there with a grenade bouncing onto the dead body as well. Good round from BDS, but it came down to a 2v2 in the end.
Certainly got close. I like the fact that BDS started to bring that heat. Two main things I noticed changed up that round was one, yes, Shaiko swung really aggressive. He ended up getting traded eventually, right? But 2 for 1, yeah, I'll take that. And the other thing is that BDS completely changed their interpretation of that bomb site hold, right? You ditch the Goyo, you ditch the Legion. These are the things that they brought in the past. Even the Malusi. And then they start to try this mirror strategy. And at the end of it, FURIA didn't completely deal with that. They cleared out one of the mirrors, but not the second one. The overall, that tactical timeout that FURIA took seemed to actually help BDS start to reformat their defense.
That's the risk you take, isn't it? By trying to play the mental game here, it seems that BDS weren't tricked into that one whatsoever. Gonna give them a handy leg up here. You said a 4-2 would be the minimum BDS would need, considering their performance in Oregon, coming onto Clubhouse, not their map pick, and it's only slightly defender-sided. So you want to be able to snap out all of those rounds as you can. And now the FURIA is on their defense. Oh, that's an extension and a half. I want to say this is some weird mixture and fusion of an SSG roam, but hatches closed, walls reinforced. This is a serious counter to a roam clear from BDS, and if they read into this with a drone, they could circumvent it completely.
I love that. It's almost to the point of looking like a bait, pretending you're on but actually being downstairs. I've never quite seen that. I've seen teams pretend to be downstairs and actually be Jim. I don't think that's really what we're seeing here from FURIA, but we are seeing a nice little bit of innovation, a nice bit of freshness from Clubhouse, which has stereotypically started to become a map where we've seen everything before. But I love the fact that there are still these teams ready to innovate and start to put some more pressure off-site, not just with some loose roam with info denial, but with some solid anchor positions like this mirror window.
Well, because of those drones getting shot out by Fantasy, it means that they don't really know how many players are playing upstairs. You can tell that FURIA have completely counted BDS here. Oh! Fantasy will read into the traces of Renshiro, shoot straight on back. My goodness, didn't we see this exact roam from BDS on their very first round downstairs? Get a taste of your own medicine here, BDS, as they will take 2, run back to site, and they've got more than half the round to play with, as they'll take out the 2 fraggers, the 2 soft breaches. There's still both of the hard breaches, however, so this is still possible for BDS, but a beautiful roam from FURIA.
Yeah, it's possible for BDS, but I honestly just don't think that this kitchen hatch is going to get opened without any soft breaches to try and protect that valuable hard breach gadget you want to deploy on the kitchen hatch, and the impacts on FURIA plus those C4s. I wouldn't even set foot in kitchen at this point. So BDS need to rotate, change up their attack. Was that a soft mirror window? I believe it was. So BDS will be thankful that Shaiko can take that down, but now he's all out of breaching rounds, and there's a C4 primed and ready for the bottom of main stairs. Will it be thrown out? It will not, but that Selma will detonate and start to expose some of these positions on the site.
Well, they've still got a little bit of time to work with, and it's not terrible for BDS, but the man advantage screams FURIA round through and through. They've gone back to this passiveness that we've seen from them time and time again. Rare, as I was just applauding them for their passiveness, peeks on out. Shaiko, he's able to get the down, but he'll get caught on the drop, and with 30 full seconds left, they're not going to be able to pick up Rare in any way, shape, or form. If they do, it might be too little, too late. And Highs, he'll come bursting through the ash wall shortly to take out Rafale. Time is not on BDS's hands. Smoke Babes in hand, and Highs, he'll make a difference if he commits to this.
Here comes the retake. Rafale turns the corner. It's a duel. And there is no plant denial. Rafale can take 2 fights at once. But FURIA can just throw bodies at BDS. Caught in so many crossfires. This is nigh impossible. And the double kill for Miracle will lock it in. FURIA, a great retake. But credit to BDS. It should never have been that close.
Bomb diffuser disabled by defenders.
Be able to get in, get the plant off in such a man disadvantage as they were. It also gives a little bit of credit to FURIA as well for not trying to overextend, I think, is the best phrase I want to use for this. There is no need to overextend in a man advantage. We have seen that go terribly wrong. Think about Shaiko on Oregon in the kitchen. It sounds like I'm playing a game of Cluedo here, but follow on with me here. He managed to get multiple kills in a multiple man disadvantage, 2v4. They have seen that go very, very wrong. They didn't want to repeat it, so they played passive. I think that was the right choice there. The retake was the play, and it's not all done and dusted when the plant goes down, especially when you've got so many bodies to throw at the problem. So FURIA, they'll keep themselves in the running here, and we did expect that once we got onto the second half, FURIA would start catching those rounds time and time again.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Every step here gets them one tiny bit closer to catching BDS here. And remember, this is FURIA's map pick, so BDS got to choose to start on the defense. As was the case in map 1, where it was BDS's map pick, FURIA started on the defense. We saw how that lead extended them. But for FURIA now, I think that they just will be in such a comfortable position compared to BDS. No sweat. You've won the first map, and you are suddenly looking like the favored team to upset one of the potential favorites for the tournament. BDS really have the pressure on them, and yes, they have the round advantage, but once you consider the fact that a 4-2 split on defense, the clubhouse, is nothing to write home about, I really think BDS need to show some fire here on their attacks.
Well, Europe has been struggling in the upper bracket and now the lower bracket. Latin America really absolutely showing their domination here at SI as a whole. Not just FURIA, but many, many other teams who we didn't expect necessarily from the Latin American region to do quite well have come in and absolutely surprised us. Oh, double damage? We like that one. Good use of an early smoke babe there from Miracle. And that's generally been the expected counter for a Maverick on the platform wall, is to try and get those smoke babes on it. I do think once they open this, because they've bucked it out, it means that it will open completely. And what Lender might be able to do is run completely at Rafale if no one's covering, and be able to take full advantage of. Look how many people are aiming at this platform wall now. Impacts come out. Wow. Rafale gets quite a lot of damage, and as Shaiko tries to grab their backside from the con window and CC window, they're going to have to back on out. I would have liked to have seen them aggress onto that open breach, but they won't get the opportunity now.
Well, there are still 2 gas babes left to go, and Rafale being so low on HP, Renshiro also being slightly low on HP as well, does make this a little bit more difficult for BDS, but they've rotated back. The idea here, as is kind of on meta for a lot of teams, is to go for these construction executes. Instead of trying to deal with the really fiddly garage rafters clear, you open up the main kennels breach, and then you rotate over and try and get to work on construction. This is what BDS is doing at the moment as the breach comes out on the construction wall. But FURIA have a really nice setup here, and it's going to take quite a bit from BDS to clear out all these shields and these anchor positions. That's a good shot though. Lender going down. Shield not cleared as of yet. Shaiko might be able to pummel this second one through. Indeed he does, and a good setup for BDS.
Well, that's the entry they needed over towards. Good night, Shaiko. Sleep tight. And as a result, I was looking for the trade. They will get it. And it was a Lems who was below attempting to impact, get rid of any shields or players who might be hiding behind the box or the bomb chassis. They lost a bit of firepower over towards construction, but that's okay. A Lems will replace the players on kennels. And FURIA, they are not in a good position here. They'll take advantage, but the trades are left, right, and center. And as Bride starts to plan, there is no more smoke babes to work with. Oh, it looks like FURIA can bait, but so can Bride. A tap here, a tap there. And Bride, he will be able to do what is needed for BDS. And that exact wall being baited by both teams now in some way, shape, or form, that's a pretty picture to paint.
Very narrow round though for BDS. That was a 1v1. Miracle almost pulled off that clutch. So credit to Bride for holding fast when it matters for BDS. And they start to extend this lead just a little bit. That second round of attack finally proving to be a success for them. There's a lot of good stuff we can say about FURIA though. And I don't think we're being biased at this point, even though we have so much positivity to spread about FURIA. I think it's just the fact that this is such an upset. This is such a, I don't know if it's quite a David and Goliath match, but it almost is, right? Like, this is the lowest rated team out of Brazil against the highest rated team out of not just EU, but you know, one of the tournament favorites. Like, surely this can warrant such a title. This is a match where every single caster predicted BDS to take it. And, you know, people like to say BDS takes it. FURIA is certainly making it very, very difficult.
I'm just increasingly worried because BDS performs so poorly. I would say poorly, unlike themselves on Oregon, which is one of their most favorite maps. It was their map pick. They come on a clubhouse and they're still getting run around quite a bit. I know it is a much better showing on this map than they had on Oregon. I will say they look a lot more confident on this map and they've talked about their issues, but it's still not the dominant EU team that you were listing just before. And as a result now, I do think that there are a couple of questions to be asked here. I don't think necessarily anyone on BDS is underperforming by any means. Out of anyone who's the lowest rated throughout the best of three so far, it's Alems, rather Renshiro, sorry. Alems following him not far behind. That would be the only player that possibly could step up here for BDS, as he's currently sitting in quite a bit of deficit on this map as well.
I wouldn't mind touching on Renshiro for a minute here. He's playing the Buck at the moment, lovely MIBR skin. But this is actually one of the players in not just BDS, but in the wider Rainbow Six Esports that has such a long history. He actually won Pro League Season 2 in 2016 with Youngtis, the French team. And that was the last time that a French team has won any major international event, Pro League Finals, Major or Six Invitational. And so many people thought that 2021 SI would not only be a moment for Renshiro to once again raise a trophy, but a moment for France to finally be the best in the world once again. And I was so confident of that all through groups. Maybe the Russians' empire started to put some pressure on it, but I mean, you can forget about Europe when Brazil is just terrorizing everyone in the server.
Speaking about terrorizing, Lender is terrorizing the line of sight of that drone. It misses him. You know why? Because he's just sneaking himself below the line of sight that drone could provide. He wants to play time on this one, and with the C4 in hand, he also wants to be alive in the latter part of the round. He can hear drones dancing around him. Alems, he spotted him. Oh, no. He can't see him. He's going to pre-predict, but he predicts wrong. And Alems will fall. And a player that I just criticized for having one of the lowest rating. Hello, Shaiko's in sight. I'm going to have to turn myself around here as he does eventually fall, but Bride, he wants it early plant out. No bait here. He'll commit and pros don't fake.
Lender needs to find this fight, but Rafal bests him. Miracle to come back and look for that retrade. Bride solidified that plant on the ground, but Fantasy's coming back from this flank. Needs to do some damage here, and Rafal loses the fight. Fantasy's gonna stick it. Brade, you might get the diffuser down, but you need to protect it. FURIA on that retake. How do they make that happen?
I was ever so fearful of this, James. I was looking at the clock and I thought to myself, wow, they're in nice and early. One of the quickest rounds from them to be able to get the plant off. And then I started to increasingly worry that they didn't have the control that they necessarily needed. And especially post-plant, things went ever so wrong. Not sure why Brede decided that not playing underneath the hatch was not what he wanted to do. Instead, he decided he would go upstairs through the barbed wire. And then, of course, he had to then face a smoke babe. Some lack of leadership here, I feel, from BDS. We're used to seeing such incredible team play from them, but they feel a little bit disjointed, especially in that round. And I criticized FURIA in the first half for showing a bit of that as well. But this is BDS's chance just to keep themselves in the fight, to protect EU alongside Team Empire in the lower bracket now. And this is looking hot for FURIA. I know they're one round behind, but they took Oregon really convincingly, and they are showing they can bite.
Look, I will happily start to shield BDS a little bit more once they start to get a map on the board. But this is 1-0 scoreline for FURIA, and BDS is having to fight hard just to be competitive here in this best of 3. Look, it's possible here that BDS could take this map, and looking on the balance of probabilities, likely they do lead currently. But of course then we would head to map number 3, and we would have to make sure that they can perform on Consulate, which FURIA, I wouldn't count them out as slouches on that map either. But there is a very good chance here that by the end of today, we would only have North American and Latin American teams remaining at the Six Invitational.
An incredible possibility, but there's still more that BDS can do now. Going to start by opening up the top floor. They do this every single round. They'll get a Selma or an exothermic onto that wall and make sure that they get top floor control. Last time they tried this, it was dire for them. They lost 2 players very, very quickly. Good read by Shaiko, but he misses his shots. And that's going to be a back and forth between Lender and himself. Both worse for wear, but nevertheless, that is the entry they needed. They need someone like Shaiko to commit to this, and as the Lems is on the window to cut the rotate, a quick peek will confirm that he is there, and oh, finally, James. They'll get their revenge for the last time that FURIA went to the bottom floor, and this is a stark comparison to when they last pushed Church and Arsenal.
Great man advantage. Highs, teetering on the edge of an opportunity here. Alems is none the wiser, but as of yet not exposing himself. Shaiko's taken a lot of damage, had a phenomenal series so far. Just hit double digits as well on map number 2. FURIA hold on, 3v5, they look to get aggressive. And what is this? A flank up storage. BDS have absolutely no clue, but FURIA have vacated the objective.
Is that a flanking mirror? What is going on? I mean, BDS, they've read straight onto this. They know sites for free. Bride, he'll get a plant down, and they didn't even commit to opening the moto hatch. That retake from there is going to be nigh impossible. Shaiko, he's reminiscing the Canadian laydown on the stairs. And Rare, this retake, well, I'm going to say it's pretty damn rare considering there's going to be a mirror looking straight back at them. James, how do you see this going? I don't see it going very well. And the story writes itself at that point, ladies and gentlemen, as BDS adapting to the situation at hand. And that is a good round there from BDS, who will get their first match point in this entire best of 3 series. They might win FURIA's map after FURIA won theirs. And we might just see a 3rd map. Oh, my heart is racing, James. I'll tell you that much. This series has been incredible.
It certainly has been, and it's not every day that you get to see a mirror player die to an angle on a mirror window. Ironic, and that is the tale of Darth Plagueis, but BDS are suddenly back into this game, 6-4, quell our doubts, put them aside, double digits for Shaiko and Bride. Church and Arsenal re-attempted now for FURIA. And, well, it just started with those 2 early picks for BDS. FURIA, I really respect that decision to go for that flank. But as soon as the player who died on that flank spotted 2 players flanking, BDS are like, come on, guys. We have a 4 versus 1 at best advantage flooding site. Let's just go for it. Don't even commit to droning, just send it. And that worked out. And that is finally some really, really strong off-the-cuff decision-making from BDS and some conviction, which is what we've needed to see from them this whole time.
5 seconds left.
All they need is to win this round or the next, and they won't have to go into overtime. They could just win it outright in regulation. FURIA, we've seen some mixture of playstyles here on Clubhouse. I was really convinced by the one type of playstyle that they were continuously presenting on Oregon, and now I felt I've got a mixed bag here on Clubhouse. Hard to narrow down what it is that they want to do and what they want to achieve these rounds. BDS have read into it, and now they are in a really prime position to be able to take it. And I do want to see whether they repeat that yet again. It'll be Rafal's job to open up this wall. Miracle, we saw him take a chance on storage before, and he wants to take a chance on this breach now. But Rafal thinks better of it. And in fact, he's called out by his teammates to get the drone happening. Aloft over towards Strip.
Yeah, Miracle may well have heard that Rafal pieced on out of there. BDS has some good map control. And I like the idea here for FURIA. No roam this time. Full anchor on site. Of course, it does really put the onus back onto BDS, and it becomes less about how is this roam/roam clear, and more just about the utility game and the setup for this pre-execute from BDS. And honestly, like, I don't really doubt BDS when it comes to this pre-execute.
Will the straddle... That's going to be a mouthful. It's like a tongue twister. Will the turtle strategy play the game that FURIA needs it to play? Because for me right now, I think they're just really cornering themselves. They play passive later in the round rather than earlier, and that's how they're able to stall out the time, but they haven't really stalled out any time. And I think that's a problem here for FURIA, because they have quite a few C4s to play with, but not a single one has been thrown up into kitchen yet, even though there was a player just nearby. And as the kitchen hatch stays closed, there you go.
There must be a mute jammer there on top of that box to... No, I don't know what I'm seeing then. I guess there is not. But I guess that hatch
a little
will
bit
be
too
breached.
Close. Too close.
There's a Selma just sitting there chilling out, not detonating. And that's fine, I guess. The hatch is open, no questions asked.
Oh no, this is the calm before the storm, James. We've seen this happen before. And as BDS take their time to be able to open things up, Shaiko is on the blue hatch. He's doing a dance with the Jaeger behind that generator. And as the execute comes ever so closer, so did the smoke wave, so did the plant denial. I'm worried for BDS now. They had all of the time to play with before. There's the entry frag. There we go. Capitalize on it, and surely they do. This is match point, baby. And this is them able to get themselves into a best of 3 third map. That's a nice pick, and with 10 seconds left, the plant surely goes off. But James, it's a 2v2 post plant. We've seen FURIA do post plants before.
Not a lot of util to work with though for FURIA, as both C4s are gone. The vertical retake is here in spades for FURIA, as Rare's running around upstairs. Can he split out any of these players? That's massive! Heist just lands the shot, Renshiro down, Brunei to clutch in the 1v2 on match point. Now FURIA, all they have to do is retake. 15 seconds left, and Brunei has to commit. Where is the information? Where is the cover? Brunei! He lands the shots, and BDS send us to map number 3.
God, Brunei has really stood up this map. Incredible. Look at him on the SMG-11. Look at him on the support on attack. I am getting stage 1 2020 vibes from Brunei when he was the highest rated player throughout all of EUL. He'll come out the MVP on Oregon for certain. And that will propel us into the very third and last map for one of these teams. Either Latin America will keep the domination in the upper and lower bracket, or we will send home yet another EU team. James, I was ready for a third map, I tell you that much, but I don't know at what cost.
Oh yeah, well, I bet you that BDS are ready for map number 3 as well, and FURIA need to get a move on.